Holiday season is when many families and relatives meet and catch up after a long year of not seeing each other. This period is not immune to conflict as many gather. How does one deal with the quarrels that might mushroom when families and friends meet? Joining us now is Andre Vlok, conflict and employment dispute specialist. Andre, good to have you, and thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I'm sure it's a small part of the work that you do, certainly, but every now and again when it comes to this season, we do need to sit and reflect on the fact that people would have gone through a whole year of stresses and anxiety and maybe a little bit on the edge and are prone to be triggered. What kind of conversations would tip people off the cliff, so to speak?
Good afternoon, Thabo. As you say, this time of year, for many of us, it's been a difficult year, an emotional year. We've been through a lot as a country. And then at the end of the year, when you want to relax, when you want to do your own thing, that doesn't always fit in with family plans and programs. And then we tend to, this time of year, traditionally, some of us, we tend to be a bit more ratty and a bit more irritable with those who we should be on our best, especially at this time of year.
What's your best advice for de-escalating aggression and argumentativeness, if there's such a word?
It's a good word. Thabo, I've recently written a 10-point plan, a little strategy for exactly this time of year, a very practical way of approaching this. Maybe your viewers could have a look at that. But to de-escalate aggression and anger this time of year is the very first point is we should be very careful whether that is necessary. Sometimes our irritation with each other in a family context comes from exactly that, where we keep the lid on too tight during the year. We let people, because we love them and because we don't want conflict in our homes, in our families, we let people push our boundaries. We let people push our buttons, and we tolerate, we compromise, and at this time of year, that lid is starting to become very much unstable. So sometimes de-escalation is not the best strategy. Sometimes a bit of, let's not say anger, but let people speak. Let people tell you what bothers them about you and about how you deal with certain things. Sometimes the best, the most precious gift we can give each other is to be there and to listen. Not always defend yourself, not always judge. Just listen. What is it that makes you unhappy with me? That's a gift in itself. To then, if with a bit of experience and a bit of training and a bit of improvement in conflict competency, to de-escalate is a difficult. It's a very complex skill to have, but to do that with family, especially in a family environment, we can start looking at a few things. What is it that this person is trying to tell us? South Africans are particularly poor for many reasons. We're poor at expressing ourselves sometimes in a skillful way. We get frustrated if I make my point and I feel that I'm not being heard. You don't get me, you don't understand me. That causes frustration. Often in family environments, what causes frustration with people, what causes conflict is that irritation and that ultimate anger. That despair nearly, why don't you listen to me? And that is a gift we can give as well. Simply listen to the person. Even if I think you're wrong, even if I know exactly what it is that you want to tell me, let the person speak. Create that safe zone for them. That doesn't mean you agree with them. It doesn't mean that you are weak or that you are a pushover. It simply means, especially, remember, this is different from a boardroom. This is different from a factory floor. This is your family. These are your friends. These are people that you truly owe that to maybe for the first time, properly listen to them. Not listen to tell them how wrong they are, but listen just to their side of it. You'll be surprised to see how often a bad conflict de-escalates just because a person feels, now you know what I am saying.
Yeah. As they normally say, avoid those deeply divisive and polarizing topics. I tell you, it doesn't happen in my family because we go to those topics. We can speak about religion, we can speak about politics and still laugh about it and speak about opposite sides of the soccer teams that we support and come out of there laughing. But I suppose it doesn't work the same with all families.
It's a wonderful talent. That absolute kudos to your family, Thabo. It is a rare skill, but still one that we can all give to each other. And it's wonderful to see how when I work with families, how when that starts kicking in, it gets, it's a little bit naive to think that on Mondays at Monday's lunchtime all will be well because I read the article. Sometimes we need to rebuild trust, rebuild bridges. Now that we have the skill, now that we have the knowledge, rebuild it over a period of time. People should know, he's okay. All of a sudden he'll listen to me. He won't take my head off just because I differ from him. And that is so necessary, and it really is a good thing to see in families. We need it. We as a country, we have so much going on outside. We certainly don't need unnecessary internal family conflicts to tear us apart.
Yeah. One of those points is spot the cycles, you say, of the 10. So are you saying more often than not, you're likely to see the same pattern that could have happened last Christmas or maybe 2 Christmases before beginning to occur, and you should be sensitive enough to maybe look at it carefully as to how we get to this point of conflict?
That's a very easy skill we can teach ourselves. We sometimes, especially with family conflicts, we are reactive. You give me a dirty look, so I say something, so you say something, and off we go. With family conflicts, do yourself the favor by trying to pick up patterns, cycles in that conflict. Every year at Christmas, you and I fight about your new car. That is just seeing it. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to judge it. Just by seeing the pattern, you're already in a better place in that conflict. It helps me because now I know, number one, this topic can maybe be avoided. Maybe this isn't the best time. Maybe I shouldn't raise it like I did last year. But also those cycles tell us what to look under the hood for. What is it that this is about? If we're always dealing with the symptom, what is the cause here? Is it my insecurity because of your job or me being unemployed, you having a nicer car than I have? We spend so much time and we frustrate ourselves and we hurt ourselves so badly in a family context by dealing with symptoms and never getting to the causes. And spotting those cycles gives us a clue as to what is this. Yes, we argue about alcohol, or we argue about soccer teams, or we argue about a political party. But what is behind that? What is a deeper thing? Why am I so angry about my employment? Why am I so angry about that relationship? And that is, with a little bit of experience, noticing that cycle will give you a clue as to what's going on here, and how to either avoid it, which normally isn't a good strategy, or how to then address it in a wiser way.
Yeah. Why are we good at, I'm saying we're good at it, but we've learned, I suppose, over the years, and we try and manage it, creating boundaries in a work environment than we are at creating boundaries when it comes to family?
I think part of the answer is a cynical one. The law has created so many boundaries that don't work for us. We have to be nicer. We have to be more polite.
Yeah.
HR will be on my back. But I think, and I see this, and especially, there are members of families in traditional families, and this really cuts across all the races, all the generations even. There are members, and I'm sure there are even in your family who seem really to be good with conflict. There are members in a family whose job it nearly is. You often find it with mothers, with grandparents. Their job is to try and keep the peace. And for a lot of people, if you don't know how to deal with conflict, if loudness and aggression and anger, if you don't know how to deal with that, then silence is your idea, your concept of peace. and you'll do anything to that. So because of that, to answer your question, Thabo, because of that, I say yes when I want to say no. Because of that, to avoid that conflict and that unpleasantness at the dinner table, we only see each other 2 or 3 times a year. I'm not going to raise this issue now. And then you start avoiding conflict. You start compromising. You start giving in. You start taking that insult and smiling and saying it's okay. So our boundaries are, on the one hand, most of them are there for good reasons. They come from a good place. But they create new and cyclical conflicts. Because you see at the dinner table, at the lunch table, you get away with this, or as I call it in the article, the battle zone of the braai. You get away with it. No one speaks out about it. No one, and I'm not talking about creating conflict. I'm talking about addressing conflict. No one ever tells me that this behavior is wrong. No one ever tells me that when I say that, when I make that joke, it hurts them. And so next year, what am I going to do? I'm going to tell the new one. So those boundaries are they're crucially important in a family. They don't have to be walls, but they can, and you'll see once people know where your boundaries are, your conflict boundaries are, they're a lot easier to keep inside those boundaries. They don't have to be rigid. They don't have to be military type rules. And you don't even have to have a TED talk about it. It's really just the way you are with conflict. What is it that I find acceptable? What jokes can you tell around me? How far can you push me? And what are the consequences if those boundaries are crossed? Those are crucial for healthy family conflicts.
Andre Vlok, good talk. Thanks for coming on this afternoon. Conflict and dispute specialist in the employment area. But today, mostly talking about how to handle it